FPS games have always been really important to me. Some people's first games usually include Lego Batman or Pokemon if you're one of those types. One of my earliest gaming memories that I can consistently remember were the days where I would get my ass kicked by my older brother on Nuketown in Black Ops 1, where it would literally be 10 minutes of him doing knife only as I was struggling to even fucking find it. Also, Devontae, I want my fucking 1v1 back. I know you were looking at my screen. All of this is to say and show all my appreciation for the genre as a whole. As I've grown up and I've actually matured and I was actually able to afford a PC, I've been experimenting and looking at all types of different games from the genre, as saturated as it is. But there's one in early access that's really gained my interest overall, and that game is Turbo Overkill. Welcome to the Backlog Chronicles, a new series on my channel that I'm trying to start so like I can cover games that I've been too broke or too lazy to do. As you probably already guessed from the intro, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite games as of recently, Turbo Overkill. Turbo Overkill is a very special game that's been on my backlog for ages. The game was developed by Trigger Happy Interactive, who's they haven't really made anything, but besides all that shit, let's see how the game holds up in its story and gameplay. Now, before I actually get into talking about the gameplay and overall aesthetic of the game, I'd like to tell you guys something. Turbo Overkill shows its inspiration heavily with everything that it tries to do, from its movement and gadgets to its graphics that remind me of old Doom, or I don't fucking know, even Overkill if you want to be more recent. How the references don't even stop there when you have vending machines that are quite literally the same ones from Borderlands 2 and BioShock. Graphically, I think the game is very polished and all the little details all come together to give you a very atmospheric world and think that this shit is actually real. The City of Paradise has its own little individual charm. The 80s futuristic genre, all that shit's here. But most importantly, there's dancing holographic women in the distance, something that every game like this should have.
You look lonely. I can fix that.
As far as what the game has to offer outside of the campaign, there's endless mode, which I think they really did a good job on. Essentially, it's the same shit that you would see in Call of Duty or Gears of War, but their own twist on it is as the rounds go on, the map starts to change and the amount of movement that you can do actually increases. I don't know why I'm using that as a selling point in a movement shooter, but I'm running out of ideas. There's also custom maps, which I've never been able to make in any type of game, and the idea of Turbo Overkill having your own level editor is pretty cool in itself, but it's just not something that I've been too particularly interested in any game. I played a couple of these and they were alright, you know, a lot of hit or miss. I don't know. The main issue that I have with the custom maps is just the fact that they all seem to be little arenas, which just play the campaign at that point. Jesus Christ. Also, I wanted to talk about the music briefly. I just didn't know where to put it in the script, so when I first heard about this game, all I knew was the fact that it would just be like Doom Eternal because my friend told me that it would be like that. He wasn't completely wrong. So with that information going into the game, I really just thought that the music for the game would just be nothing special. It would just be funny riff chords, and that's it. I love the music from this game so much. I'm not exactly good at expressing what I like and all that shit, so I'm gonna keep in line with the whole trend of comparing it to something else to further my point, and it would probably be more similar to Hotline Miami. Both games have a setting that bathes in the aesthetic of the 80s, which Turbo Overkill has the reasoning of belonging to a subgenre of FPS games, boomer shooters, which to my 5 minutes of research seems to include any game that has the aesthetic of a mid-90s to early 2000s first-person shooter. Things like Doom and Quake come to mind when I first think about it.
Your little nuts are gonna be quaking.
But most importantly, they both have a synth/rock type of sound in their music, which complements the fast-paced action that you can find in both. Johnny Turbo in the flesh. overall thoughts of the soundtrack for Turbo Overkill is there are some amazing tracks in the entire lineup of the soundtrack. So a personal problem that I kind of had was just like having to play the music over and over and over because I just wanted to get like 20 fucking hours of footage that I didn't even end up using. Oh shit, I still gotta talk about the story. Okay, let's get into it. The main thing I want to do with the summary of the story is just give my overall opinion on it and tell you the basics without trying to spoil too much, since I do think that you guys should still play it. I mean, I wouldn't make an entire like 15-minute video. It's probably shorter than that. I wouldn't make this entire video if I didn't want to like shill it to you guys. The game's only like $20 and I know you're not doing anything this weekend. Yeah, you. So, the way I would describe the arcs of Turbo Overkill would probably be the same way I would describe the current state of the city that you're trying to save within the story. Okay, this isn't too bad. Maybe we could save it. Okay, I don't think this is even worth saving no more. And this was a suicide mission! We should have just nuked this fucker from orbit! There's also this really cool thing that the main menu does whenever you go back to it after completing a mission within the campaign, where we get to see our main protagonist, Johnny Turbo, slowly but surely change from slightly human to... Okay, that is literally Terminator smoking a blunt. But in all seriousness, it's little details like this that can give a lot of character to your, well, character. We also see his story pan out within flashbacks that happen every now and then, which slowly gives us some insight on how he got to the point where he is, where we start off in the outskirts of a futuristic city called Paradise. Bro, my transition skills are so cool. We're here in Paradise because we've been called to exterminate a virus, more specifically a rogue AI that has transformed the inhabitants of Paradise into soulless monsters. Far off in the distance, we can even see how Sin might have taken... Oh, did I say Sin? Yeah, the virus name Sin was, or at least at some point, the main antagonist for the story, and also the catalyst for why we're even here in the first place. We can also see its tendrils made up of some type of flesh and wire, infecting most of the city with it, getting worse and worse as the story goes on, using the splicing machines that we see all over to end up, letting us use implants for our body. Sin ended up using those as ways to recruit more and more into being made up of just guns, chainsaws, and fucking, I don't know, iPhone charger cord. During the second half of episode 1, we're told that there's a supercomputer that if Sin got a hold of, it would pretty much be the end of society as we knew it.
By the name of Artifact Zero.
Well, that's the textbook definition of fucked right there. Artifact Zero's the most powerful supercomputer we ever produced. Makes an AI look like an abacus. If Sin gets a hold of it, man, it is lights out for humanity. Delicious slice of silver lining. If Sin's got a handshake with Artifact Zero, purging it might just wipe out all the biocores at once.
We end up finding and fighting the supercomputer.
Tom Holland, hey, what the fuck? Man, I don't want to talk, yo.
But after we fight it, it ends up being a sore loser and then explodes like a Twitch streamer when they don't get any donations. I lost. This ends up leading to the build-up of episode 2, and honestly, I think episode 2 is probably my favorite. I'm not even gonna lie. We get Maw, dude. Maw is so fucking cool. Realizing that Paradise literally can't be fucking saved, and now the entire city is on fire, and there's monstrosities like this just lurking around the corner. The main thing that our character is trying to do is just escape from the planet. This chapter seems to take the whole apocalypse setting very seriously. Not only are we being chased down by 2 assassins and your ex-girlfriend, there's also the threat of being killed by Sin now that he's merged with the supercomputer and is more stronger. This is also the part of the game where we get introduced to a lot of the main gadgets and things that we get to use within the rest of the game. This episode seems to balance everything. It tells parts of Johnny's backstory. We get introduced to one of the best villains I've seen. He's pretty funny. He says skill issue. This is also the point in the game where the difficulty and the level structure also increase, because it feels like episode 1 was just a test trial of what they could do with the game, and a lot of them just seem pretty bare bones when it comes down to the other 2 episodes. Not to say that the episode is bad. I don't think that it's really bad at all. It's just not as strong as the other ones. It just seems like they were testing out what they could do next, and that's completely fine. Also, I think that was like the first time I've talked about something in a video without making a joke. I'm proud of myself. This is character development, dude. Oh my god. But to end the events of what happens in episode 2, kill our ex-girlfriend and one of the assassins that tried to kill us, and get slow motion, fight the last assassin in this Coliseum looking thing, proceed to die like 8 fucking times because you decided to play on Murder Machine on the hardest boss fight in the game.
Skill issue.
Get killed after fairly winning in the 1v1, and then told to go fuck ourselves. But not literally, because this isn't one of those porn games I was playing last week. Dear God. Part 3 is kind of crazy. We basically die at the end of episode 2 when Ma kills us, and we've just been laying dead on the fucking ground for like 2 years. It's at this point we see that Ma pretty much won and became a god like he always wanted. Now with the power of sin, he thinks he's better than us and gets a power trip out of torturing us throughout the levels because he can just do that now. So cool, even when he wants to eliminate the entire human race. The entire reason why episode 3 even happens is because somehow, somewhere, we get contacted by Sin itself. Yeah, the actual entity that we've been fucking fighting for like 2 chapters. She basically hits us up, and she's so bad, dude. Oh my god. You think Cortana bad? Oh my god, I would do shit to that eye. This version of Sin has contacted us to basically team up against who pretty much only wants power and to destroy shit, you know, gang shit. It's also in this conversation that we have with Sin, we find out that she pretty much knows even before the events of the game what happened to us. This entire twist was kind of hinted at earlier in the game, where she does say that she'll give us eyes and shit, which cuts to this next scene where we're out of the whole dimension that we were in a new body that isn't quite human at all. Yeah, this shit ain't new. Episode 3 by far probably has the most spectacle out of all 3 of the episodes. Episode 1 had that beauty to it where it was just this densely packed city that was overrun by this big ass virus. Episode 2 still kinda has that, but it's more indoors and more chaotic outside, but still a very visually stunning game, especially with the look that it's trying to pull off. But episode 3, man, oh my god, they put their entire fucking hand in this shit. I don't know. Our direction for episode 3 is actually stunning, and it's bigger than anything that we've ever seen. Now we're completely out of the fucking city, and we're seeing entire battles waged as humanity tries to fight Ma off until, you know, they can't. It's really nice that now we actually have human characters and we're not the only person in the entire city. Episode 3 by far probably has the most content added to it. And the motherfuckers at Trigger Happy and Apogee aren't even finished. There's more to it. There's more coming. Every single aspect that was introduced between episode 1 and 2 are used, and it's used beautifully. I can't exactly wrap up the story overview because, you know, the story isn't even finished yet. From what we see so far, my expectations for Trigger Happy are pretty high. My closing thoughts are going to be everywhere because I feel like I have so much shit to really say. To answer the question of whether or not Turbo Overkill needed to stay in my backlog or did it deserve to come out, I think the answer is pretty fucking obvious. Turbo Overkill is a game that I've personally been dreaming about, and while it has some small flaws, I do think it's a top tier movement/boomer shooter. If there are any developers watching, I'd like to say thank you for this wonderful experience of a game, but also thank you for making it to this point. Also, I really wouldn't mind if I got like an early copy of episode 3 part 2. Make it happen. I will get you 1 million views. And for the last thing, I do apologize if the editing for this video was pretty fucking awful. Usually I edit videos off of my phone and it works pretty well, but this time it seems like the audio got corrupted or some shit, and then I had to move it all to Premiere Pro, and dear lord, that was a process. But overall, the message of this video is Sin could really get it, bro. Sin could really get it.